Hello everyone, tonight we travel to the banks of a great river to share a story about a man who learned to hear the river's quietest song, a melody that reveals the secrets hidden just beneath the surface. It is a song that speaks not in words, but in feelings of deep calm and unending peace. And listening to it may just change the way you see the world, even in your dreams. As this journey begins, if you wish to share this calm with others, a gentle press of the like button is all that is needed. To continue these explorations, feel free to subscribe. There is no bell to ring, only peace to be found. Let us know in the comments where you are listening from and what time it is in your corner of the world. It is wonderful to know we are all sharing this moment together. The first light is not yet light at all. It is only a suggestion, a faint whisper of color in the deep black of the sky. In a small wooden house, nestled close to the wide, slow-moving Yangtze River, a man named Wei stirs from his sleep. He does not wake with a start. His awakening is as gentle as the river itself. It is a slow return to the world, a gradual lifting of the heavy blanket of dreams. The air in his small room is cool and still. He can feel it on his face, a refreshing touch that carries the scent of damp earth and distant water. For a long moment, he lies perfectly still, his eyes closed. He is listening. He listens past the quiet hum in his own ears. He listens for the sounds of the world outside his window. There is the soft rustle of leaves from the ginkgo tree that stands guard by his home. There is the distant, lonely call of a night bird, its song echoing in the vast emptiness of the pre-dawn. These are the sounds he knows. These are the sounds that have been the music of his life for more than 70 years. Wei has lived in this house, by this river, since he was a small boy. The house itself seems to hold the memory of his life in its very timbers. The wood is dark and smooth from decades of touch. Slowly, he opens his eyes. The room is filled with soft shadows. Shapes are familiar but indistinct. The outline of a simple wooden chair. The form of a low table where a single clay cup sits. The world is waiting, poised between the end of night and the beginning of day. This is his favorite time, a time of absolute quiet. Wei swings his legs over the side of his simple bed. His feet find the cool, worn floorboards. He knows every dip and rise of this floor. He could walk across it in complete darkness without ever stumbling. Each board has its own voice, a faint creak that is like a familiar greeting. He stands up slowly, his body moving with a deliberate grace that comes from a lifetime of patient work. He does not rush. The river has taught him that there is a right time for everything, and that rushing only makes the current push back harder. So he moves with the rhythm of the water, slow and steady. He walks to the small window and pushes open the wooden shutter. The air that flows in is cooler now, carrying a fresh, clean smell. It is the smell of the river waking up. He breathes it in deeply, letting the air fill his lungs. It feels like he is drinking in the morning itself. Outside, the world is a painting of deep blues and soft greys. The great river is a sheet of dark glass, reflecting the last few stars in the sky. The far bank is only a faint, dark line, a place of mystery. Mist hangs low over the water, swirling in gentle patterns like slow-motion ghosts dancing. He can see the silhouette of his boat, the sampan, tied securely to the small wooden dock. It waits for him, a faithful friend. It is more than just a boat to him. It is a part of his life, an extension of himself. Together, they know the river's many moods. Wei turns from the window and moves to the low table. He picks up the clay cup. It is smooth and cool in his hands. He fills it with water from a large clay jug. The water is cool and clear. He drinks it slowly, taking small sips, feeling the coolness travel through him. This is his morning ritual. It is simple, unchanging, and deeply comforting. It anchors him to the start of each new day. There is no need for anything more. The water, the cool air, the view of the river, this is enough. This is everything. He gets dressed in the dim light. His clothes are simple and practical. Loose cotton trousers, a soft, well-worn shirt. The fabric is familiar against his skin. These are the clothes of a fisherman, designed for movement and comfort, not for show. They carry the faint, clean smell of the sun and the river. As he dresses, his mind is calm. He is not thinking of the day ahead in a busy way. He is not making lists or plans. He is simply present. He is feeling the texture of his shirt, the solidness of the floor beneath his feet. He is listening to the world slowly coming alive around him. The first bird of the morning begins to sing. Its song is clear and bright, a single, perfect note that cuts through the stillness. Then another joins in, and another. Soon the air is filled with a chorus of birdsong, a celebration of the coming sun. Wei listens to their music with a small smile. He knows the voices of the different birds. He knows the bold call of the bulbul and the sweet, warbling song of the thrush. They are his neighbors, his fellow inhabitants of this riverbank world. They mark the passing of the seasons with their songs. He walks to the door of his small house. He does not need a lamp. His eyes have adjusted to the gentle light of the coming dawn. He knows this path as well as he knows his own hand. He opens the wooden door, and it makes a soft, familiar groan. Stepping outside, the world feels vast and open. The sky above is beginning to change. The deep indigo is softening at the eastern edge, a pale line of lavender and rose appearing on the horizon. The great transformation has begun. The sun is on its way. He walks down the short, trodden path to the dock. The dew is heavy on the grass, and his simple cloth shoes become damp. He feels the coolness of the water-soaked earth through the soles. It is a feeling that connects him to the ground, to the living world beneath his feet. At the end of the dock sits a large, dark bird. It is a cormorant. Its feathers are sleek, glossy, black. The bird is perfectly still, like a statue carved from obsidian. As Wei approaches, the bird turns its head, its bright, intelligent eyes fixing on him. It makes a low, guttural sound in its throat, a sound of greeting. "Good morning," Wei says softly. His voice is quiet, so it does not disturb the morning peace. The bird, Li, is his partner. They have worked together on the river for many years. Theirs is a bond of trust and understanding that goes beyond words. Li ruffles his feathers and stretches one long black wing. He is ready. He knows the rhythms of the day just as Wei does. The first light, the walk to the dock, the preparation of the boat. It is a dance they have performed together thousands of times. Wei places a gentle hand on the bird's back. The feathers are smooth and cool. Li leans into the touch, a sign of complete trust. They stand there for a moment, man and bird, watching the sky slowly brighten. They are two old friends, sharing the quiet beauty of the world's beginning. The river is their life. It is their provider, their challenge, and their constant companion. It has shaped Wei's hands, his face, and his heart. He does not see it as just a body of water. To him, the river is a living thing, with a spirit and a soul. And he, Wei, is one of its humble servants. The morning mist begins to thin, revealing more of the water's surface. He can see the gentle ripples created by the slow-moving current. He can see the dark shapes of rocks near the bank, their surfaces slick with moisture. The world is slowly taking form, emerging from the shadows of the night. He feels a deep sense of peace in his heart. It is a peace that comes from knowing his place in the world. He is a fisherman on the Yangtze River. This is his identity. It is his past, his present, and his future. And as the new day begins to dawn, he is ready to meet it. He is ready to go to work. The day is just beginning, and the river is calling to him. The air is still cool, but it now holds a promise of warmth. The line of light on the horizon has grown, spreading a soft, pearly glow across the sky. The stars are fading one by one, surrendering to the coming day. Wei turns his attention from the sky to his boat. His sampan is not large, but it is strong and reliable. It is made of dark, sturdy wood that has been oiled and cared for over many years. The wood seems to glow in the faint morning light. It is a vessel of beautiful simplicity, perfected over centuries for life on this river. Wei steps onto the boat. It rocks gently beneath his weight, a familiar and comforting motion. He moves with a sure-footedness that is born from a lifetime on the water. He does not need to think about his balance. His body knows the boat's language. His first task is always the same. He begins by inspecting the boat itself. He runs his hand along the gunnels, the smooth, worn wood cool beneath his palm. He is feeling for any new cracks or splinters. The river can be hard on wood, and constant care is needed. His fingers, though old, are nimble and sensitive. They are his best tools. They can detect a problem long before his eyes might see it in the dim light. Today, the wood feels solid and whole. He gives a small nod of satisfaction. The boat is sound. Next, he checks the ropes. He picks up the thick mooring rope that holds the boat to the dock. He tests its strength, pulling on it with his full weight. He examines the knots, making sure they are tight and secure. A loose rope could mean losing his boat, his livelihood. He then moves to the nets. The nets are piled neatly in the center of the boat. They are his most important tools. They are a complex web of thin, strong cord, a lifetime of knowledge woven into their design. To an outsider, they might look like a tangled mess. To Wei, they are a thing of order and purpose. He lifts the top net. It is surprisingly heavy, and it smells of the river, a clean, earthy scent. He begins to check it section by section, his fingers moving through the mesh with practiced speed. He is looking for any rips or tears. A single broken cord can create a hole large enough for a fish to escape. He finds a small tear near the edge. It is not a serious one, but he will not ignore it. He reaches into a small wooden box that he keeps in the boat. Inside are his mending tools, a small, smooth wooden shuttle wrapped with new cord and a sharp knife. He sits on a low wooden seat, the net spread across his knees. His hands begin to work, a blur of motion in the half-light. He ties a series of small, intricate knots, his fingers dancing with the cord. He does not need to look closely. His hands remember the pattern. They have tied this knot thousands upon thousands of times. It is a quiet, meditative task. The only sounds are the soft whisper of the cord and the gentle lapping of the water against the side of the boat. As he works, his mind is clear and focused. He is not thinking of anything but the net in his hands. This is a form of meditation for him. Lee, the cormorant, watches him from the dock. The bird is patient. He knows this part of the ritual. He makes no sound, simply observing his human partner with his keen, intelligent eyes. The bond between them is one of quiet companionship. They do not need to speak to understand each other. Once the net is mended, Wei lays it carefully back on the pile. He then checks his other equipment. There is a long bamboo pole used for pushing the boat through the shallows. There is a simple wooden bucket for bailing out any water that might get in. There is a small anchor, a heavy stone tied to a thick rope. He also has a small clay stove and a pot for making tea. He checks to make sure he has enough charcoal and a small packet of tea leaves. A warm cup of tea on the river is one of the day's small but profound pleasures. It is a moment of warmth and comfort in the vastness of the water. Finally, he prepares Lee's place. Near the front of the boat, there is a special perch for the cormorant. It is a smooth, sturdy piece of wood where the bird can stand and watch the water. Wei makes sure the perch is secure. He also checks the loose cord that will be tied gently around the base of Lee's neck. This cord is important. It prevents the bird from swallowing the larger fish he catches. It is a technique passed down through generations of cormorant fishermen. It is a partnership. The bird catches the fish, and the fisherman provides a home, food, and care. Wei unties the small rope that tethers Lee to the dock. He gives a soft whistle. The cormorant understands. With a powerful push from his webbed feet, Lee leaps from the dock and lands gracefully on his perch at the front of the boat. He settles himself, his long neck held high, looking out over the water like the captain of a ship. The preparations are now complete. Everything is in its place. Everything has been checked. This process is never rushed. It is a ritual of respect. Respect for the river, for his tools, and for his partner. It ensures safety, but it is also a way of focusing the mind for the work ahead. The sky is now a soft canvas of pinks and oranges. The sun is still below the horizon, but its light is reaching up, pushing away the last of the night. The surface of the river is alive with color, reflecting the beautiful sky above. The mist is burning away, revealing the true width and majesty of the water. Wei feels a sense of quiet anticipation. It is a feeling he has known his whole life, but it never grows old. The feeling of a new day, a new beginning on the river. Each day is different. The river is never the same twice. It always has new lessons to teach, new surprises to reveal. He picks up the sculling, or a long, heavy piece of wood that rests at the back of the boat. This is his engine. It is powered by his own strength and skill. He prefers it to a noisy motor. The oar allows him to move in silence, to become part of the river's quiet world. He takes one last look at his small house on the bank. It looks peaceful and sleepy in the morning light. He feels a sense of gratitude for its simple shelter. It is his anchor to the land, the place he always returns to after his journeys on the water. With everything ready, he turns his full attention to the river. The current is gentle this morning. The wind is calm. It will be a good day for fishing. He can feel it in his bones, an intuition that comes from a deep connection to this place. He unties the final rope that holds his sampan to the dock. The boat is now free. It drifts for a moment, carried by the slow current, where it places the end of the long oar into the water. The day's work, the day's journey, is about to begin. The river is waiting. He is ready to answer its call. With the mooring rope coiled neatly at his feet, Wei takes his position at the stern of the sampan. He stands with his feet planted firmly, his body balanced and relaxed. The long sculling oar feels like a natural extension of his arms. He slides the blade of the oar into the water. The water is dark and cool, and it resists the wood for a moment before yielding. He begins the rhythmic, figure-eight motion that propels the boat forward. It is a movement that is both powerful and graceful. His body sways in time with the oar. It is a slow, steady dance. His shoulders, his back, his legs, all working together in perfect harmony. There is no wasted effort. Every movement has a purpose, honed by countless hours on the river. The sampan begins to move away from the shore. The small wooden dock and his house grow smaller behind him. The only sound is the gentle splash and gurgle of the oar in the water. It is a quiet, soothing sound, the heartbeat of his journey. He is not just pushing the boat, he is feeling the river through the oar. The wood transmits the water's secrets to his hands. He can feel the strength of the current, the subtle changes in its flow. He can feel the depth of the water beneath him. The oar is his connection to the living river. Li, the cormorant, stands proudly at the bow. He is perfectly still, his sharp eyes scanning the water. He is a living figurehead, his sleek black form outlined against the brightening sky. He is as focused as Wei, his partner in this ancient enterprise. They move towards the center of the river. The banks on either side are green and lush, dotted with small villages and bamboo groves. In the distance, the soft, rounded shapes of mountains rise up, their peaks shrouded in mist. The world feels immense, and he and his small boat are just a tiny part of it. But he does not feel small or insignificant. He feels connected. He is a part of this landscape as much as the trees, the mountains, and the river itself. This is his home, in the truest sense of the word. The sun finally breaks over the distant horizon. It appears as a brilliant sliver of gold, and then it grows, flooding the world with warm, clear light. The colors of the landscape become vibrant. The gray water turns to a shimmering sheet of silver and gold. The green of the trees becomes deeper and richer. The warmth of the sun touches Wei's face. He closes his eyes for a moment, savoring the feeling. The sun is a welcome friend after the coolness of the dawn. It brings life and energy to the world. It awakens the river. As the light spreads, he begins to see other signs of life. A pair of ducks takes flight from the reeds near the shore, their wings beating a rapid rhythm against the air. A fish jumps, a flash of silver that breaks the smooth surface of the water for just an instant. The river is coming alive. He guides the boat with small, precise movements of the oar. He is not heading to a random spot. He is heading to a place he knows well. A place where a tributary joins the main river, creating an area where the current is slower and the fish like to gather. He has no modern tools to guide him. No GPS, no fish finder. His guide is his memory and his deep understanding of the river. He reads the patterns on the water's surface, the way the current swirls around a submerged rock. He sees the subtle changes in the water's color that indicate different depths. This knowledge was not learned from a book. It was passed down to him by his father, who learned it from his father before him. It is a living knowledge carried in the minds and hands of the river folk for generations. It is a legacy as powerful and enduring as the river itself. The air is filled with the sounds of the morning. The chorus of birds on the shore is now joined by the buzz of insects. He can hear the distant crow of a rooster from a village he cannot yet see. The world is waking up, shaking off the silence of the night. Way continues his steady rhythm with the oar. He is not in a hurry. He knows that the fish will be there. He is moving with the pace of the morning, in harmony with the world around him. His breathing is deep and even. His mind is calm and clear. He passes a small, rocky island in the middle of the river. A lone heron stands on one of the rocks, a tall, grey statue. The heron is another fisherman, a rival and a companion. The bird watches the sampan pass with its unblinking yellow eye, but it does not move. There is a silent understanding between them. The river is large enough for all. The journey to his chosen spot takes a little while. This travel time is not wasted. It is a time for observation, for becoming attuned to the river's mood on this particular day. Is the water clear or murky? Is the current faster than yesterday? These small details are important. They will influence how he fires. Today, the water is quite clear. He can see the sandy bottom in the shallower parts. He can see the long, green strands of riverweed swaying gently in the current. This is a good sign. Clear water often means the fish are active. As he gets closer to his destination, he can feel the change in the water. The pull of the main current lessens. The water becomes calmer, more placid. He has arrived. This is the place. He stopped sculling. He lets the boat drift for a moment, finding its natural place in the eddy. He watches the water, looking for the telltale signs of fish. A small swirl on the surface, a flicker of movement in the depths. His eyes are sharp, trained by a lifetime of this specific kind of seeing. He picks up the long bamboo pole. He pushes it down into the water until it touches the riverbed. The water is not too deep here, perhaps twice his height. He pushes the pole into the soft mud, anchoring the boat in place. The sampan swings gently until it is facing into the slow current. Now, he is no longer a traveler. He is a hunter. But his is a patient, quiet form of hunting. It is a dance of cooperation with the river and with his partner, Lee. The stage is set. The sun is climbing higher in the sky. The first part of his workday is about to begin. He turns to Lee. The cormorant has been watching the water intently the entire time. He has not moved from his perch. He seems to feel the change in the boat's purpose. He shifts his weight, his body tense with anticipation. He knows what is coming next. Wei reaches out and gives the bird a gentle stroke on its long neck. "Soon, old friend," he murmurs. "Soon." The bird makes a soft, excited noise in its throat. They are a team, and they are ready. The silence of the river is about to be broken by the quiet splash of the nets. The sun is now fully above the mountains, a warm and brilliant disk in the blue sky. Its light dances on the surface of the river, creating a million tiny, glittering diamonds. The air has lost its morning chill and is now pleasantly warm. Wei stands in the center of his boat. He is surrounded by his nets. He selects one, a smaller net designed for the first cast of the day. He gathers it in his hands. The cord is cool and slightly damp, the familiar texture a comfort to his fingers. He prepares for the cast. This is a movement that requires both strength and precision. It is like a ballet. He holds a part of the net in his teeth. Freeing his hands, he gathers the weighted edge of the net in one hand and the main body in the other. He stands for a moment, perfectly still. He is watching the water, reading its subtle language. He is not just looking at the surface. He is trying to see through it. to imagine the world of the fish below. He sees a slight disturbance, a short distance from the boat, a sign that fish are feeding near the bottom. Then, in one fluid, powerful motion, he turns his body and casts the net. His arms swing out, and the net flies from his hands. It unfurls in the air, opening up like a giant circular web. It hangs there for a fraction of a second, a perfect circle against the blue sky. Then it falls. It hits the water with a soft whoosh, a sound that is quickly absorbed by the river's silence. The lead weights sewn into its edge pull it down quickly, carrying it to the riverbed. The net sinks, forming a curtain, a trap for any fish that are beneath it. Wei holds the rope that is attached to the center of the net. He can feel the net settling on the bottom. He can feel the gentle tug of the current against the mesh. He waits. Patience is the most important tool a fisherman has. He does not pull the net in immediately. He gives the fish time to become accustomed to its presence. He lets the river do its work. He stands as still as the heron he passed earlier, his focus entirely on the rope in his hand. Through the rope, he can feel the faintest vibrations. It is a skill that takes a lifetime to learn, to distinguish between the pull of the water and the movement of a trapped fish. He feels a series of small, frantic tugs. He knows the feeling. A small school of fish has swum into his trap. Now is the time. He begins to pull the rope, hand over hand. His movements are smooth and steady, not jerky. He does not want to scare the fish into a panic that might tear the net. He is firm but gentle. The net begins to close at the bottom as he pulls, like a purse string being tightened. The circle of the net grows smaller, trapping the fish inside. He can feel the weight increasing as he lifts it from the riverbed. It is not a heavy catch, but it is a start. He pulls the net closer to the boat. Soon he can see the dark shape of it in the clear water. He can see flashes of silver within the mesh. The fish are thrashing, their bodies twisting and turning as they realize they are caught. With a final, strong pull, he lifts the net out of the water. Water streams from the mesh, falling back into the river with a sound like heavy rain. The net is heavy now, filled with the catch. He swings it over the side and into the boat. He carefully opens the net. Inside are about a dozen fish. They are not large. They are a type of river carp, their scales shining with an almost metallic luster in the bright sunlight. They flap and wriggle on the bottom of the boat, their gills opening and closing. Wei feels a sense of gratitude, not triumph. He is thankful for what the river has provided. He works quickly and efficiently to untangle the fish from the net. His fingers are gentle. He respects these creatures that are giving their lives to sustain his sea. He places the fish into a large, water-filled basket that he keeps in the boat. The basket keeps the fish alive and fresh for as long as possible. The fish swim in the basket, their initial panic subsiding into a calmer exploration of their new, smaller world. He then turns his attention back to the net. He carefully inspects it for any damage from the catch. He straightens out the mesh, making sure it is not tangled. He piles it neatly, ready for the next cast. This careful maintenance is crucial. A well-cared-for net will last for many years. The first catch of the day is always significant. It sets the tone. It is a confirmation of his skill, his knowledge, and his connection to the river. It is a sign that the day will be a good one. He looks up at Lee. The cormorant has been watching the entire process with intense interest. He has not made a sound, but his body language shows his excitement. He knows that his turn is coming soon. The fish in the basket are for the market. The fish that Lee will catch are for their partnership. Wei smiles at the bird. "Patience, my friend," he says. "Your work is next." He knows that while the nets are good for catching schools of smaller fish, the cormorant is the master of catching the larger, more solitary ones that hide among the rocks and weeds. He takes a moment to rest. He sits on the wooden seat and watches the river. The sun is higher now, and the day is growing warmer. The sounds of the river have changed. The bird song is less frequent, replaced by the steady hum of insects and the distant sounds of human activity from the villagers on the banks. He feels the gentle rocking of the boat. He feels the warmth of the sun on his back. He looks at the fish swimming in his basket. It is a good start. He is content. He is exactly where he is meant to be. He does not feel a need to rush to the next task. He lives his life by the river's clock, not by a man-made one. The river teaches him that there is a time for work and a time for rest, a time for action and a time for quiet observation. After a few minutes of quiet contemplation, he decides it is time. The sun is in the right position. The fish will be moving into different parts of the water. It is time to let his partner, his feathered friend, do what he does best. He begins to prepare Lee for his first dive of the day. The next phase of his work is about to begin. The sun's light is now direct and strong, making the water's surface sparkle with an intensity that can make one squint. Wei knows this light is good for Lee. It allows the cormorant to see deeper into the water, to spot the dark shapes of fish moving below. Wei turns to Lee, who is perched at the bow, alert and ready. The bird looks at him, a clear understanding in his intelligent eyes. It is time. Wei reaches out and gently takes hold of the bird. Lee does not resist. He is used to this. Wei takes the thin, soft cord he prepared earlier. He ties it carefully around the base of the cormorant's neck. He is very careful to make sure it is not too tight. It should be just snug enough to prevent the bird from swallowing a large fish, but loose enough to be comfortable and allow him to swallow smaller ones. This technique is the heart of their partnership. It is a trust built over years. Lee understands that if he brings the larger fish back to the boat, he will be rewarded with smaller fish that he can eat. It is a fair exchange, a system that benefits both man and bird. Once the cord is secure, Wei gives Lee a final, reassuring pat. He then lifts the bird from his perch. Lee is surprisingly light for his size, his bones hollow like all birds. Wei holds him for a moment. Then he speaks a single, quiet word. Go! With a powerful thrust of his wings, Lee launches himself from Wei's hands. He flies low over the water, his black feathers shining in the sun. He circles the boat once, his keen eyes scanning the depths. He is a master of this environment. Then he dives. It is a swift, clean entry. He disappears beneath the surface with barely a splash, leaving only a small circle of ripples behind. Now, Wei must wait and watch. He cannot see what is happening beneath the water, but he can imagine it. He imagines Lee, a sleek, dark arrow, propelling himself through the underwater world with his powerful webbed feet. He imagines the bird twisting and turning with incredible agility, chasing after a fish. He knows Lee can stay submerged for a long time, his body perfectly adapted for this hunt. Wei keeps his eyes fixed on the spot where Lee went down. He watches the ripples spread and fade. The river becomes still again. The waiting is a test of patience. Sometimes Lee resurfaces quickly. Sometimes he is gone for what feels like a very long time. Suddenly, the surface of the water breaks. Lee reappears, his head and long neck shooting up out of the river. He has a fish in his beak. It is a large one, much larger than the carp in the net. The fish is struggling, its silver body flashing in the sunlight. Lee holds the fish firmly. He begins to swim back toward the boat, his head held high with pride. He paddles with his strong feet, making a small wake behind him. He is a successful hunter returning with his prize. Wei reaches out with a small hand net on a long bamboo pole. He skillfully scoops both Lee and the fish out of the water and brings them into the boat. Lee lands gracefully, shaking the water from his feathers in a fine spray. He still has the fish in his beak. He looks up at Wei, waiting. Wei gently takes the fish from him. It is a fine, fat perch, a valuable catch. He praises the bird in a low, calm voice. "Good work, old friend. Very good work." He places the large perch into the water-filled basket with the other fish. Then he reaches into a small bucket where he keeps a few of the smaller carp from the first catch. He takes one and offers it to Lee. The cormorant eagerly takes the small fish. Because of the loose cord, he can easily swallow this smaller reward. He gulps it down with a satisfied flick of his head. The partnership is complete. The trust is reinforced. Lee then hops back onto his perch, ready for the next dive. He might preen his feathers for a moment, using his beak to spread natural oils that keep them waterproof, but his attention is soon back on the water. He is ready to work again. They repeat this process several times. Wei moves the boat slowly along the edge of the deeper channel, using the bamboo pole to push off the bottom. He guides the boat to places where he knows larger fish like to hide, near submerged logs or in the shadow of overhanging trees. Each time, the ritual is the same. Lee dives, a flash of black disappearing into the green water. Wei waits, his eyes scanning the surface. Lee reappears, often with a struggling fish. Wei helps him back into the boat, takes the catch, and gives the reward. It is a beautiful and efficient dance. It is a form of fishing that is in perfect harmony with the river. There is no loud engine to scare the wildlife. There is no massive net that catches everything indiscriminately. It is a selective, respectful hunt. Sometimes Lee comes up empty-beaked. Not every dive is successful. Wei never shows disappointment. He knows that this is part of the process. He simply waits for Lee to be ready, and then encourages him to try again. The river does not always give up its treasures easily. Today, however, is a good day. Lee is in fine form. He brings back several more large fish. A black carp, a mandarin fish, and another big perch. The basket is slowly filling up. This will be a good day at the village market. Wei feels a deep sense of satisfaction. This is not just about the money the fish will bring. It is about the pride he takes in his work, in his skill, and in the incredible ability of his avian partner. It is a feeling of accomplishment that comes from working with nature, not against it. As the sun climbs higher toward its midday peak, the fishing begins to slow down. The fish move to deeper, cooler water to escape the heat. Wei knows this. He and Lee have done their best work for the morning. After one last successful catch, Wei decides it is time for a break. He does not remove the cord from Lee's neck just yet, but he lets the bird rest on his perch. Lee seems to know that this part of the work is over for now. He begins to groom his feathers more thoroughly, his work for the morning done. Wei pulls the boat into the shade of a large willow tree that hangs over the riverbank. The sudden coolness of the shade is a welcome relief from the bright sun. The light filters through the long trailing leaves of the willow, creating a dappled pattern on the water and inside the boat. It is peaceful here. The gentle lapping of the water, the buzz of a dragonfly hovering nearby, the rustle of the willow leaves in the slight breeze. It is a perfect place to rest and take a meal. Wei looks at his catch, a good morning's work, swimming in the basket. He feels a quiet joy. The river has been generous today. Under the protective shade of the weeping willow, a profound quiet settles over the sampan. The world seems to slow down. The frantic energy of the hunt is replaced by a deep and peaceful stillness. This is a time for rest and recovery, for both man and bird. Wei moves to the small, simple clay stove he keeps in the boat. He carefully arranges a few pieces of charcoal inside it. He uses a flint and steel to create a spark, a skill that is second nature to him. He coaxes the spark into a small flame, feeding it with dry twigs until the charcoal begins to glow with a steady heat. The process is slow and deliberate. He does not rush. Every action is performed with a focused calm. The small stove is a source of great comfort, a tiny hearth on his floating home. The warmth it gives off is gentle and reassuring. While the stove heats up, he pulls the boat a little closer to the bank, securing it by tying a rope to one of the willow's thick, low-hanging branches. The boat is now still, except for the gentlest of rocking motions. It feels safe and anchored. Li watches him, his head cocked to one side. The bird seems to relax in the shade. He fluffs up his feathers and lets out a soft, contented sigh. His work is done for now, and he knows a larger meal is coming soon. The promise of rest and food makes him calm. Wei takes out a small wooden box. Inside, there is a portion of cooked rice wrapped in a lotus leaf. There is also a small, salted vegetable. This is his simple midday meal. It is not elaborate, but it is nourishing and full of flavor. He also takes out his small clay teapot and 2 cups. He fills the pot with water directly from the river. He has a deep trust in this water. It is the water he has drunk his entire life. He places the pot on the glowing charcoal of the stove. He sits on the low wooden seat, his back resting against the side of the boat. He unwraps his rice. The lotus leaf has imparted a subtle, fragrant aroma to the rice. He eats slowly, using simple wooden chopsticks. He savors each bite. He is not just eating to fill his hunger. He is taking in the energy of the earth, the sun, and the water that created this food. It is another way he connects with the world around him. His meal is a quiet act of gratitude. The water in the teapot begins to heat up. A small wisp of steam escapes from the spout. Wei watches it curl and disappear into the warm air. He adds a pinch of tea leaves to the pot. The leaves are dark and tightly rolled. As they hit the hot water, they begin to unfurl, releasing their rich, earthy scent. The aroma of the tea fills the small space under the willow tree. It is a clean, comforting smell. It mixes with the scent of the river and the damp earth of the bank. To Wei, this is the smell of peace. He shares a small piece of his salted vegetable with Li. The bird takes it gently from his fingers. It is a small treat, a gesture of their deep bond. They are sharing this moment of rest, this quiet meal, together. The tea is now ready. Wei carefully pours the hot, amber liquid into the 2 small cups. 1 cup is for him. The other he sets aside to cool slightly. He will offer some of the cooled tea to Li later. The bird enjoys it, and Wei believes it is good for him. He holds his own cup in both hands, feeling its warmth. He blows gently on the surface of the tea, watching the steam dance away. He takes a small, slow sip. The tea is strong and slightly bitter, but it leaves a sweet aftertaste. It warms him from the inside out. He drinks his tea and looks out at the river. From his shaded spot, the sunlit water looks incredibly bright and alive. He can see the patterns of the wind on its surface, the dragon scales, as the old fishermen call them. He watches another boat, far in the distance, a tiny black speck moving slowly downstream. He does not feel lonely. He has the river for company. He has Lee, and he has his own thoughts and memories. In these quiet moments, his mind often drifts back in time. He thinks of his father, teaching him how to read the water. He thinks of his wife, her gentle smile as she would mend his nets on the porch of their small house. These memories are not sad. They are a part of him, like the lines on his hands or the color of his eyes. They are a quiet, comforting presence. They remind him of the long, continuous thread of his life, a life deeply intertwined with this river. He thinks about the fish in his basket. He thinks about the village market, the sounds and smells, the friendly faces of the other villagers. He thinks about the small amount of money he will earn, enough to buy more rice, some oil, and perhaps a small treat for a neighbor's child. His life is simple. It is a life of hard work and small pleasures. He does not long for more. He has found a deep contentment in the rhythms of his days, in the rising and setting of the sun, in the ebb and flow of the river's current. After he finishes his rice and his first cup of tea, he pours another. He sits in comfortable silence for a long time. There is nothing that needs to be done. There is nowhere else he needs to be. He is fully present in this moment, under the shade of the willow tree. The world continues on around him. A kingfisher, a flash of brilliant blue, darts past and dives into the water, emerging a moment later with a tiny silver fish. A turtle suns itself on a nearby log, its ancient, wrinkled head held high. Nature's drama plays out, and weighs a silent, appreciative audience. This period of mid-morning stillness is as important as the work of fishing itself. It is a time to recharge his body and his spirit. It is a time to reaffirm his connection to this place. The river gives him fish, but it also gives him this deep, abiding peace. When he feels fully rested, he begins to clean up. He rinses his cup and chopsticks in the river water. He carefully wraps his wooden lunchbox. He makes sure the fire in his stove is safely extinguished, pouring a little water over the charcoal. He leaves no trace, showing his respect for the riverbank. Then, he gently removes the cord from Lee's neck. The bird is now free to swallow whatever he wishes. Wei gives him another small fish as a final reward for the morning's work. Lee gulps it down gratefully. His part of the partnership is now complete for the day. The sun is directly overhead. It is the hottest part of the day. The fishing will not be good again for a few hours. This is a time for different work. Wei will let the boat drift slowly downstream, heading toward a new spot for the afternoon. The time of quiet stillness is over. A time of slow movement is about to begin. The shade of the willow tree has been a welcome home for a time, a small pocket of coolness in the growing heat of the day. But the sun continues its journey across the sky, and the shadows begin to shift. Wei knows it is time to move on. The river's rhythm calls for change. He unties the rope from the willow branch, coiling it neatly in the boat. He picks up his long bamboo pole once more. With a few strong pushes against the riverbed, he guides the sampan out from under the leafy canopy and back into the main current of the river. The full force of the midday sun is intense. It warms the dark wood of the boat and reflects brightly off the water's surface. Wei is used to this heat. He wears a simple, wide-brimmed hat made of woven bamboo to protect his face and neck. His skin is tanned and weathered from a lifetime under this very sun. He does not use the oar now. Instead, he allows the river to do the work. The current is steady and reliable, a slow-moving conveyor belt carrying him downstream. His journey is now one of drifting, of quiet observation. He sits comfortably in the boat, his hand resting lightly on the steering or at the stern. He uses it to make small adjustments, to keep the boat in the center of the current and away from any shallows or hidden rocks. His movements are minimal, almost imperceptible. He is working with the river, not fighting it. Li, his work done, has found a comfortable spot in the shade of Wei's own body. The bird is relaxed. Sometimes he dozes, his head tucked under a wing. Other times he watches the passing scenery with a calm, curious gaze. He is a seasoned traveler. This slow drift is a different kind of travel. It is not about getting to a destination quickly. It is about experiencing the journey itself. The landscape unfolds before them at a walking pace. Wei has the time to notice the small details he might miss if he were moving faster. He sees a family of otters playing on the riverbank, their sleek, wet bodies sliding down a muddy slope into the water. He hears the high-pitched chirping of their young. He watches them for a long time, a quiet smile on his face. They are fellow fishers of the river. He sees the vibrant colors of wildflowers growing near the water's edge, bright reds, deep purples, and sunny yellows. He sees the intricate patterns of a spider's web strung between two reeds, glistening with tiny droplets of river spray. The river itself is a constant source of fascination. He watches the way the light penetrates the water, creating shifting patterns of light and shadow on the sandy bottom. He sees a small turtle paddle by, its head just above the surface. He sees the dark, mysterious shapes of larger fish moving in the deeper parts of the channel. This is a time for his mind to wander as freely as his boat. He thinks about the stories his grandfather used to tell, stories of a time when the river was wider and wilder, filled with giant fish and even river dolphins. He wonders what the river will be like for his own grandchildren, should they choose this life. He thinks about the changing seasons. He thinks of the river in spring, swollen and powerful with the meltwater from the mountains. He thinks of it in autumn, when the leaves of the trees on the banks turn to brilliant shades of gold and crimson. He thinks of it in winter, when a hush falls over the land and sometimes ice forms along the quiet edges. Each season has its own beauty, its own challenges. He has lived through them all, many times over. The river has been his teacher, showing him the endless cycle of death and rebirth, of stillness and change. It has taught him that all things are connected. The sun beats down, and the air becomes heavy and humid. Wei feels a healthy thirst. He reaches for his water jug and takes a long, slow drink. The water is cool and refreshing. He feels its life-giving energy spread through his body. The journey continues. The boat drifts past a small village. He can see women washing clothes at the river's edge, their colorful garments spread on rocks to dry in the sun. He can hear the laughter of children playing in the shallows. He raises a hand in a slow, gentle wave to a fellow fisherman mending nets on the shore. The man waves back. There is a community on this river, a network of people whose lives are bound to its waters. They may not speak often, but there is a deep, unspoken understanding between them. They share the same challenges, the same joys, the same deep respect for their provider. As the sun begins its slow descent from its midday peak, Wei starts to think about his afternoon fishing spot. He knows a place a little further downstream, a quiet cove where the water is deep and cool. The larger, more cautious fish often retreat there during the heat of the day. He begins to use the steering, or, more actively now, guiding the boat out of the main current and toward the northern bank. He is no longer just drifting. He is navigating with a clear purpose. He finds the entrance to the cove. It is hidden by a thick grove of bamboo that grows right down to the water's edge. To someone who did not know the river, it would be almost invisible. But Wei has known of this place since he was a boy. He poles the boat carefully through the narrow entrance. Inside, the world changes. The water is still and dark, shaded by the overhanging bamboo. The air is cooler here. The sounds of the main river are muffled. It is a secret, hidden place. This is where he will wait for the afternoon to cool. This is where he will cast his nets one more time before heading home. He anchors the boat in the center of the small cove. A deep sense of peace descends upon him. He is hidden from the wider world, alone with the river in one of its most private moments. He will not fish yet. The time is not right. The sun is still too high. This is another period of waiting. But it is not an empty or boring time for him. It is a time filled with the quiet richness of the natural world. He is content to sit, to watch, and to listen to the whispers of the cove. In the hidden cove, time seems to stretch and slow. The sun, a fiery eye in the sky, begins its long, slow slide toward the western mountains. Its light, once harsh and direct, starts to soften. The colors of the world begin to change. Wei sits in his boat, a silent observer of this grand, daily spectacle. He has watched this sky change thousands of times, yet it never fails to fill him with a sense of wonder. Each sunset is unique, a masterpiece, painted with light and clouds that will never be repeated in exactly the same way. The brilliant, almost white-hot blue of the midday sky begins to deepen. It shifts to a richer, more saturated shade of cobalt. The few small, fluffy clouds that drift lazily overhead start to catch the changing light. Their edges, once stark white, are now tinged with a delicate gold. The heat of the day begins to recede. A gentle breeze stirs, rustling the leaves of the bamboo grove that surrounds the cove. The sound is like a soft, dry whisper. It is a welcome sound, a sign that the air is beginning to move and cool. The breeze creates a fine, shifting pattern on the dark water of the cove. Wei watches the light. He notices how it changes the appearance of everything it touches. The green of the bamboo leaves seems to become deeper, more vibrant. The dark, wet rocks along the water's edge gain a new dimension, their shadows lengthening and growing softer. His own hands, resting on his knees, are bathed in this warm, golden light. The lines and wrinkles, etched by years of sun and work, seem to hold the light, each one telling a part of his life story. He looks at them with a sense of quiet acceptance. They are the hands of a man who has lived his life fully. Li, the cormorant, is awake now. He stands on his perch, stretching his wings. The bird seems to sense the change in the atmosphere as well. The coming of evening is a time of transition, a time when the world prepares for rest. Li preens his glossy black feathers, which catch the golden light and shine with an iridescent purple and green. The sun sinks lower, and the colors in the sky become more dramatic. The gold deepens to a fiery orange. Streaks of pink and magenta appear, as if a celestial artist has dragged a brush across the canvas of the sky. The clouds are no longer just edged with color. They are now fully ablaze, floating islands of fire. All of this beauty is reflected perfectly in the still water of the cove. The surface becomes a mirror, creating a breathtaking, symmetrical world of color. It is as if Wei and his boat are floating in the middle of the sky itself. He is suspended between two heavens, one above and one below. He does not think about fishing yet. He does not think about the market, or his home, or tomorrow. He is completely absorbed in the moment. He is drinking in the beauty of the world with his eyes, with his whole being. This, too, is a form of nourishment. It feeds his soul. He hears the evening sounds begin. The drone of the insects fades, and the chirping of the night crickets starts to rise. A frog begins its deep, resonant croaking from the muddy bank. The sounds of the world are changing their tune, shifting from a bright daytime melody to a more subdued and mysterious evening lullaby. The air itself seems to change. It becomes cooler, heavier with the scent of damp earth and blooming night flowers from the shore. The smells are rich and complex, a perfume created by the river and the land as they settle down for the night. As the sun touches the peaks of the distant mountains, the light changes again. The fiery oranges and pinks begin to fade, replaced by softer shades of lavender and purple. The world becomes quieter, more gentle. The shadows lose their sharp edges and blend into one another. This is the time Wei has been waiting for. The in-between time. The time between the full light of day and the complete darkness of night. This is when many of the larger, more cautious fish become active. They feel safe in the dimming light. He begins to move, his actions slow and deliberate, so as not to disturb the profound peace of the cove. He picks up one of his larger nets. His movements are quiet and efficient in the fading light. He is preparing for the final work of the day. The sky continues its transformation. The last sliver of the sun disappears behind the mountains. The brilliant colors fade from the sky, leaving behind a soft, dusky glow. The first star of the evening appears, a tiny, perfect diamond blinking in the deep violet expanse above. The world is now painted in shades of gray, blue, and black. Shapes become less distinct. The world of sharp detail gives way to a world of silhouettes and shadows. It is a time of mystery and quiet magic. Wei is not afraid of the growing darkness. He is comfortable in it. His other senses become sharper. His hearing is more acute. He can hear the soft splash of a fish jumping far out on the main river. His sense of touch is more sensitive. He can feel the texture of the net in his hands with perfect clarity. He stands ready, the net gathered in his hands. He is a part of the twilight, a silent figure in a silent boat. He waits for the perfect moment, listening to the river, feeling its pulse. The changing sky has given him the signal. The time for the final catch has arrived. As the twilight deepens in the quiet cove, Wei does not immediately cast his net. He waits. He lets the evening settle completely. In these moments of stillness, his thoughts often turn to the past, to the stories that the river holds. It is as if the quiet of the evening unlocks a hidden chamber in his memory. Tonight, he remembers a story his father told him. A story from a time long ago. His father's voice, low and calm, seems to echo in his mind, carried on the gentle breeze that rustles the bamboo. It is a story about the river's spirit, Long ago, his father had said, the river was not just water and currents. It was a living being, a great dragon that slept beneath the earth. Its long, winding body formed the river's path, and its slow, deep breaths created the tides and the flow of the water. The dragon was a benevolent spirit. It brought life-giving water to the fields, allowing the rice to grow tall and green. It filled its waters with fish, providing food for the people who lived on its banks. The people, in turn, respected the dragon. They made offerings of rice and wine, and they never took more from the river than they needed. One year, a terrible drought came to the land. The sun baked the earth until it cracked. The smaller streams and ponds dried up completely. Even the great river, the body of the dragon, began to shrink. The water level dropped lower and lower, revealing parts of the riverbed that no one had ever seen before. The fishing became impossible. The fields withered. The people began to starve. They prayed to the river dragon, but nothing changed. The sky remained a cloudless, cruel blue. Despair began to settle over the village as there was a young fisherman in one of the villages. He was known for his courage and his deep love for the river. He saw the suffering of his people, and he decided he must do something. He believed that the river dragon was not angry, but was perhaps sick or in a deep, unnatural sleep. The young fisherman prepared his small boat. He told his family that he was going to travel a privia to the source of the great water, to the place where the dragon's head was said to rest among the highest mountains. He was going to try to wake the dragon. Everyone thought he was foolish. They said the journey was too long and dangerous. They said that even if he reached the source, no mortal could wake the spirit of the river. But the young fisherman was determined. His heart was pure, and his purpose was clear. He set out on his journey. For many days and nights, he traveled against the weak current. The river grew narrower and more treacherous. He navigated through rocky gorges and dangerous rapids. He faced hunger and exhaustion, but he never turned back. During his journey, he showed kindness to all the creatures he met. He shared his meager food with a hungry heron. He freed a turtle that was tangled in some old roots. He moved with respect, his heart open to the spirit of the river and all its inhabitants. Finally, after many weeks, he reached the high mountains. He found a hidden lake, its water as clear as glass. This, the stories said, was the eye of the dragon. In the center of the lake, a great spring bubbled up from the depths of the earth. This was the dragon's heart, the source of the river. But the spring was weak. It bubbled slowly. Without its usual power, the young fisherman understood that the dragon was indeed weak. He knew he could not force the dragon to wake. He could only ask. He did not make a loud plea. He did not demand anything. He simply sat in his boat in the center of the lake, and he began to play a simple bamboo flute. He played a song of gratitude, a song about the beauty of the river, the life it supported, the joy it brought to the people. He played for 3 days and 3 nights without stopping. His song was not for himself. It was a gift, an offering of pure love and respect for the river. His music was filled with the memories of his people, their laughter, their work, and their deep connection to the water. On the morning of the 4th day, as the first light of dawn touched the mountain peaks, the spring in the center of the lake began to bubble more strongly. The water surged with new life. A deep, rumbling sound came from the heart of the mountain, the sound of a great being slowly awakening from a long slumber. A gentle mist rose from the lake and formed a cloud. The cloud grew and spread, and soon the sky was filled with them. Rain began to fall, a soft, life-giving rain that was the dragon's tears of gratitude. The young fisherman travelled back down the river, and the rain followed him. The river began to rise, to fill its banks once more. When he arrived back at his village, he was greeted as a hero. The drought was broken. The land and the people were saved. Wei stops remembering the story and looks out at the dark water of the cove. He has always loved that story. It is not about fighting or conquering. It is about respect, patience, and the power of a gentle heart. It is a story that reminds him that the river is more than just a resource. It is a relationship. He feels that the spirit of that young fisherman lives on in all the people who treat the river with respect. He feels it in himself, in the way he cares for his boat, his nets, and his partner Lee. He is not just taking from the river, he is part of its life, and it is part of his. The memory of the story settles his mind. It prepares him for his final task. He is not just a fisherman looking for a catch. He is a participant in an ancient tradition, a keeper of the river's stories. With a heart full of this quiet wisdom, he finally stands up. The moment feels right. The air is still. The water is calm. He gathers the net in his hands, its familiar weight a comfort. He is ready. It is time to make the final cast of the day, an act of faith and hope in the generosity of the twilight river. The deep purple of the twilight sky is now reflected in the still water of the cove. The world has grown quiet, wrapped in a blanket of soft shadows. Wei stands poised in his sampan, the large net gathered and ready. He is a silhouette against the fading light. He takes a deep, slow breath, calming his mind and focusing his intent. He is listening not just with his ears, but with his entire body. He is trying to feel the presence of the fish below, to sense their subtle movements in the dark water. The river has its own pulse, and he is trying to match his own rhythm to it. He sees a flicker of movement near the edge of the bamboo shadows. It is a sign. He does not hesitate. In a motion that is as smooth and practiced as his first cast of the morning, he swings his body and releases the net. It flies out over the water, a dark, circular shape against the violet sky. It opens fully before it touches the surface, landing with a soft, satisfying splash that echoes in the quiet cove. The weighted edges pull it down quickly into the cool, dark depths. He holds the rope, his senses attuned to the slightest vibration. The water in the cove is deeper than his morning spot, and the fish here are often larger and stronger. He feels the net settle on the muddy bottom. Now the waiting begins again. This wait feels different from the morning. The world is quieter, more mysterious. The sounds of the day have vanished, replaced by the chirps, clicks, and croaks of the night creatures. The air is cool on his skin. He feels a sense of peaceful solitude. He is alone, but not lonely. He feels a strong, determined tug on the rope. It is not the frantic fluttering of small fish. This is different. It is a slow, powerful pull. A large fish is in the net. His heart beats a little faster, not with anxiety, but with respectful excitement. This is the challenge he seeks. He begins to pull in the net. He does not use brute force. He uses a steady, rhythmic pull, playing the fish, tiring it out. He knows that if he pulls too hard, the fish might panic and tear the net with its strength. It is a delicate balance of power and patience. The weight on the rope is significant. It takes all of his practiced skill to bring it in smoothly. His muscles, though old, are strong and conditioned by a lifetime of this work. He plants his feet firmly, using his whole body as leverage. Slowly, the net rises from the depths. He can feel the fish struggling, its powerful body twisting and fighting against the confines of the mesh. He keeps the pressure steady, giving the fish no slack to escape. As the net breaks the surface, he can see the cause of the struggle. It is a single, magnificent fish, a giant river carp, its scales the color of old silver, shimmering in the last light of the day. It is one of the largest he has caught in a long time. He works carefully to bring the heavy net and the powerful fish into the boat. With a final, focused effort, he heaves it over the side. The fish lands with a heavy thud on the floor of the sampan. It is immense, almost as long as his arm. It thrashes its tail, a display of immense power. Wei quickly and skillfully works to free it from the net. He handles the great fish with a profound respect. This is not just food or money. This is a king of the cove, a creature of age and wisdom. He speaks to the fish in a low, quiet voice. "Thank you, old one," he says. "Thank you for your gift." It is a ritual he has always performed, a quiet acknowledgement of the life that has been given. He gently places the great carp into his largest water-filled basket. The fish swims slowly, its large, dark eye seeming to watch him with a calm intelligence. The catch is a fitting end to the day's work. The river has been more than generous. He inspects the net carefully in the dim light. The struggle of the large fish has caused a small tear near the weighted edge. It will need to be mended, but that is a task for tomorrow, for the quiet morning hours at his home. For now, his work on the water is done. He has a fine catch. The baskets are full. He feels a deep sense of accomplishment, a quiet satisfaction that warms him more than any tea. He poles the boat out of the hidden cove, back into the main channel of the river. The sky is now almost completely dark. The first few stars have been joined by countless others, a brilliant, glittering canopy stretching from one dark bank to the other. The moon has not yet risen. He is no longer drifting. He begins to use the sculling, or again. But his movements are different from the morning. He is not pushing against the current now. He is going with it, heading downstream toward his village. The oar in the water makes a soft, rhythmic sound. Splash, gurgle, splash, gurgle. It is a peaceful, hypnotic rhythm, the only sound that breaks the deep silence of the river at night. The boat glides through the dark water, a small, solitary vessel on a vast, black river. Lee is asleep, his head tucked firmly under his wing. He trusts Wei completely to navigate them home safely. The bird has worked hard and earned his rest. Navigating the river at night requires a different set of skills. Wei cannot rely on his eyes in the same way. He must use his ears, his memory, and his sense of feel. He listens for the sound of the water changing as it flows over a shallow sandbar. He feels the subtle shifts in the current that tell him he is nearing a bend in the river. He knows this stretch of the river by heart. He knows the location of every major rock, every island, every tributary. He has a map of it in his mind, a map drawn by decades of experience. The journey home is a time for reflection. The day's events play back in his mind. The beautiful sunrise, the satisfaction of the first catch, the quiet meal under the willow tree, the dance of his partner, Lee, the glorious sunset, and finally, the great silver carp. It was a good day, a simple day, but a full one. A day lived in close harmony with the natural world. He feels a sense of profound gratitude for his life. He would not trade it for any other. In the distance, he sees a faint, warm glow. It is the light from the lanterns of his village. The sight fills him with a quiet joy. He is nearing home. The journey is almost over. The steady rhythm of his oar continues, pulling him closer and closer to the welcome shore. The memory of the great silver carp still fresh in his mind, Way guides the sampan out of the secret cove. The main channel of the river welcomes him back with its vast, open darkness. The sky above is now a deep, star-dusted velvet. The world feels immense and profoundly peaceful. The journey home is not a direct one. There is one more place he wishes to visit, one more offering the river might make before the day is truly done. He steers the boat not directly toward his village, but toward a series of small, rocky islands that dot the middle of the river. The current is stronger here, swirling around the ancient stones that jut from the water. It is a place that requires careful navigation, especially in the dark. But Wei knows this area well. He knows the safe channels and the hidden dangers. He uses the oar with precision, his movements economical and sure. These islands are known for a particular kind of creature that lives among the rocks. Not fish, but freshwater crabs. They are a delicacy, prized in the village for their sweet meat. They are most active at night, coming out from their hiding places to forage in the shallows. He does not use a net for this kind of work. Instead, he has a different tool. It is a long bamboo pole with a small, baited line attached to the end. It is a slow and patient method, one that his father taught him was a test of a fisherman's stillness. He finds a calm spot in the lee of the largest island, a place where the water is sheltered from the main force of the current. He anchors the boat by wedging the bamboo pole into a crevice between two rocks. The sampan is now steady, rocking only slightly in the gentle eddies. From a small wooden box, he takes out his crab-catching equipment. He has several thin, strong lines wound around small pieces of wood. He baits each line with a small piece of fish left over from his own meal. The scent will draw the crabs out. He lowers the first line into the water, letting it sink to the rocky bottom. He holds the line loosely between his thumb and forefinger. Now he must become as still and patient as the rocks themselves. He must wait for the subtle, telltale pluck of a crab taking the bait. The silence here is different from the cove. Here, the dominant sound is the rush of the water against the rocks of the island. It is a constant, powerful shushing sound, the voice of the river's strength. He lowers a second line and a third, placing them in different spots around the boat. He sits on his low seat, holding the lines, his body completely still. He becomes a part of the night, a silent figure, listening to the river's song. His eyes are not as useful here. He relies on his sense of touch. He closes his eyes, letting his fingers become his primary source of information. He can feel the gentle movement of the water against the lines. He can feel them scraping softly against the rocks on the bottom. Then he feels it, a tiny, almost imperceptible vibration on one of the lines. It is followed by a series of small, sharp tugs. It is not the smooth pull of a fish, but the jerky, sideways pull of a crab, its claws working at the bait. He does not yank the line immediately. That would only scare the crab away. He must wait for the crab to get a firm hold on the bait. He gives the line a tiny, gentle pull, just to feel the weight and resistance. Yes, it is a crab, and it feels like a good-sized one. When he senses the moment is right, he begins to lift the line. He does it very slowly, very smoothly. The crab will often cling to its prize, unwilling to let go. He lifts it steadily up through the dark water. He peers over the side of the boat. He sees the dark shape of the crab emerge from the water, still clutching the bait in its claws. He uses a small hand net to scoop it up before it has a chance to let go and fall back into the river. He brings the crab into the boat. It is a large male, its shell a dark, mottled green. Its claws are powerful. He handles it with care, using his experience to avoid being pinched. He places it in a special wicker basket with a secure lid. The first success, he rebaits the line and lowers it back into the water. He then turns his attention to the other lines. This is a slow, methodical process. It is a form of fishing that cannot be rushed. It requires complete focus and a deep well of patience. Over the next hour, he catches several more crabs. Some are large, others are smaller, but all are welcome additions to his catch. Each one is a small victory, a reward for his stillness and his understanding of the river's hidden life. This second catch of the day feels different. The net fishing was about breadth, about gathering a school of fish. The cormorant fishing was about partnership, about hunting for larger prey. This crab fishing is about subtlety, about a quiet, one-on-one interaction with the creatures of the river. He feels a deep connection to the generations of fishermen who have sat in these same spots on nights just like this, feeling for the same subtle tugs on their lines. He is part of a long, unbroken chain, a tradition that flows as steadily as the river itself. When he feels he has caught enough, he decides to stop. He never takes more than he needs. The river has been generous, and he will not be greedy. He pulls in his lines, cleans them, and puts them away neatly in their box. He is ready to finally head home. The moon has begun to rise, a pale, glowing crescent in the eastern sky. Its soft, silvery light provides a gentle illumination, making the surface of the river gleam. It is a beautiful sight. He pushes the boat away from the rocky island, back into the main current. The village lights seem closer now, brighter. He can almost smell the wood smoke from the cooking fires. The thought of his own small, quiet house fills him with a sense of comfort and contentment. The day's labor is truly over. The journey home can now be completed. The moon is higher now, its soft, silvery light painting a gentle path across the dark water. The stars seem to have dimmed slightly in deference to its glow. Wei continues his steady, rhythmic sculling, the sampan gliding almost silently through the night. The lights of his village are a warm and welcoming beacon in the distance. As he rounds a wide bend in the river, he sees another light on the water. It is not the distant glow of the village, but a single, small point of light, closer and moving. It is the lantern of another boat. In the vast darkness of the river at night, another human presence is a significant event. He stops sculling for a moment, letting his boat drift, watching the other light. It is a small, flickering flame, likely from a simple oil lamp, just like the one he sometimes uses in his own boat. The other boat is also moving downstream, but more slowly than his. He will soon overtake it. As he gets closer, he can make out its shape in the moonlight. It is another sampan, very similar to his own. He can see the dark silhouette of a single person at the stern, poling the boat along in the shallows near the bank. Wei begins to scull again, but he changes his rhythm. He makes his oar strokes a little louder, a little more deliberate. This is a courtesy, a way of announcing his presence so as not to startle the other person. On the quiet river, a silent approach could be mistaken for something else. It is an unspoken rule of the river folk. The figure in the other boat hears him. The silhouette turns, and Wei sees the person lift a hand in a simple gesture of acknowledgement. Wei lifts his own hand in return. No words are spoken, none are needed. He guides his boat on a course that will take him past the other sampan with a respectful distance between them. As he draws alongside, the moonlight illuminates the other fisherman. It is a young man, perhaps the age of Wei's own grandson. His name is Bo Wei, has known his family for generations. Uncle Wei, the young man's voice calls out, clear and respectful across the water. A good night to you. And to you, Bao Wei replies, his own voice calm and steady. The river has been kind today. It has, Bao says. My nets were full this morning. I am just checking my eel traps before I head home. Wei nods. He knows the spot. It is a good place for eels, who hide in the muddy bottom. Each fisherman has their own special spots, their own particular skills. Bao is known for his skill with eels. Your cormorant worked well today, Bo asks, gesturing with his head toward the sleeping form of Li at the bow. He is a good partner, Wei says, with a small smile. He earned his rest. He brought me a fine perch. They drift in companionable silence for a moment, two small boats side by side on the immense river. They are two different generations, yet they are bound by the same life, the same work, the same deep connection to this water. My father sends his greetings, Bao says. He said to ask if your roof survived the last big rain without any leaks. It is an old roof, but it is strong, Wei replies. Tell your father I am well, and that I hope his cough is better. This is the way of the river folk. Their conversations are simple, direct, and full of a quiet care for one another. They are a community, not of neighbors with fences, but of travelers on a shared path. They look out for one another. Wei can see that Bo's boat is not as well maintained as his own. There is a small crack in the gunwale, and his nets look frayed. The young man works hard, but he has a young family to feed, and times are not always easy. Wei thinks of the great silver carp swimming in his basket. It is more than he and his wife can eat. It will fetch a good price at the market, but there is more to life than money. I have a large carp in my basket, Wei says, his voice casual. It is too much for an old man. Perhaps your family would enjoy it. They have more mouths to feed. Bo is silent for a moment. He knows this is a significant gift. He is a proud young man and does not want to accept charity. But he also knows that this is not charity. It is a gesture of community, of respect. To refuse it would be an insult. Uncle Wei, that is too generous, Bao says, his voice filled with gratitude. The river was generous to me today, Wei says simply. It is only right to share its gifts. Pull your boat alongside. Bao uses his pole to bring his sampan next to Wei's. The two boats bump gently against each other. In the quiet of the night, Wei carefully lifts the magnificent carp from his basket and passes it to the young man. Bo takes the fish with both hands, a look of awe on his face in the moonlight. I have no words, uncle, he says. My wife and children will be so happy. Thank you. Eat well, Wei says. He gives the side of Bo's boat a gentle push, and they begin to drift apart again. I will bring you a share of my eels tomorrow, Bo calls out. Wei simply raises his hand again in a wave. He expects nothing in return. The exchange was not a transaction. It was a connection. It was the river's way of taking care of its own. As Wei continues on his way, a deep sense of peace settles in his heart. The act of giving has filled him with a quiet joy that is more profound than the satisfaction of the catch itself. He has his fish, He has his crabs, and he has his community. He is a rich man. He looks toward the lights of the village. They are very close now. The encounter has delayed him only a little, but it has enriched his journey home immeasurably. He feels the strong, invisible threads that bind him to his people and to this place. The river provides, and through the river, they provide for each other. The sun's final descent behind the western mountains marks the true end of the day's labor. The world transforms, shedding its bright, sharp edges for a softer, more mysterious form. For Wei, this is a time of profound beauty and quiet reflection, a reward for the long hours of work. He watches from the secret cove as the last arc of the sun disappears. The sky does not immediately go dark. Instead, it puts on a final, glorious show. The clouds that were once white are now painted in vibrant strokes of orange, pink, and a deep, royal purple. It is a fleeting masterpiece, changing with every passing moment. This spectacle is mirrored in the still water around him, creating a world of impossible, breathtaking color. His small boat seems to float, not on water, but on a liquid sunset. He feels as if he is at the very heart of the day's end, suspended in a moment of pure, silent magic. He sets aside his nets and his tools. This time is not for work. It is for being. He sits on the low wooden seat, his hands resting on his knees, and simply watches. He does not try to name the colors or understand the science of the light. He just allows the beauty to wash over him, to fill his senses. The air begins to cool rapidly. He can feel the warmth of the day radiating away from the water and the land. A thin wisp of mist begins to form on the surface of the cove. A soft white veil that drifts and swirls with the slightest breath of wind. The sounds of the world are changing. The birds of the day sing their last few notes, their calls seeming softer, more wistful. In their place, the first crickets of the evening begin their chirping symphony. A deep, resonant croak from a bullfrog echoes from the muddy bank. The world is transitioning from its daytime orchestra to its nighttime one. Wei thinks about the sun. He thinks of it as a great, benevolent being that gives life to the world. It warms his back as he works. It allows the plants on the bank to grow, and it brings energy to the fish in the water. Its setting is not a sad event, but a promise of rest and a prelude to its return. He watches as the brightest colors begin to fade from the sky. The fiery oranges soften to a gentle peach. The vibrant pinks pale to a soft rose. The deep purples melt into a dusky lavender. The sky is calming down, preparing for the arrival of the stars. Li, the cormorant, is also watching. He stands on his perch, his head held high, looking toward the west. Wei wonders what the bird thinks of the sunset. Does he appreciate its beauty in the same way? Or does he simply feel the changing light as a signal, a primal cue that the time for hunting is over and the time for rest is near? Wei believes the bird feels it too, in his own way. All creatures of the river are attuned to these rhythms. The setting of the sun is a message understood by fish and bird and man alike. It is a universal language. As the last glow of the sun fades from the horizon, the first star appears. It is Venus, the evening star, shining with a steady, brilliant light in the darkening sky. It looks like a lone diamond on a cloth of deep blue velvet. Wei greets it with a silent nod, like an old friend. The appearance of the first star signals to him that it is time. The most beautiful part of the sunset is over. The time for quiet observation is ending. and the time for the day's final work is beginning. The fish will be moving now, emboldened by the growing darkness. He does not feel rushed. The peace of the sunset has settled deep within him. He moves with a calm, unhurried grace. He is infused with the tranquility of the twilight hour. His mind is clear, his body is rested, and his spirit is at peace. The setting sun has done more than just mark the passage of time. It has washed the world clean. It has provided a moment of pure, uncomplicated beauty that puts the struggles and efforts of the day into perspective. It reminds him of the larger, grander patterns of the universe, of which he is just one small, humble part. He picks up his largest net, the one he has saved for this final cast. The air is cool and smells of damp earth and night-blooming flowers. The world is quiet and waiting. He is ready to ask the river for one final gift before he turns his boat toward the gentle, welcoming lights of home. The day is ending, but his work is not quite finished. The journey home is the final chapter of Way's day on the river. With his catch secure and his heart full from the encounter with Bo, he sculls with a steady, peaceful rhythm. The lights of his village grow larger and brighter, each one a promise of warmth, rest, and home. The moon provides a gentle, guiding light. He can see the familiar shapes of the riverbank now. The great, old banyan tree whose roots trail into the water. The cluster of rocks that looks like a sleeping buffalo. These are his landmarks, his signposts on the dark water. He can hear the sounds of the village drifting across the water. The distant bark of a dog. The faint notes of a flute being played by someone on their porch. The low murmur of voices. These are the sounds of his community. The sounds of life being lived. His own small house is on the near edge of the village. He can soon pick out the specific warm glow of the lamp he knows his wife, May, will have lit and placed in the window for him. It is a beacon that has guided him home for more than 50 years. The sight of it always brings a deep feeling of comfort to his soul. As he approaches his own small dock, he slows his pace. He guides the sampan with expert precision, letting the last of its momentum carry it gently to the wooden posts. The boat bumps against the dock with a soft, familiar thud. The journey is over. He secures the boat with practiced motions, tying the mooring ropes to the posts. The knots are strong and reliable, the same knots his father taught him. He stands for a moment in the silent boat, simply being. He has returned. Lee, the cormorant, stirs. He knows they have arrived. He shakes his feathers and looks toward the shore. He is ready for his own home, a comfortable perch in a small, sheltered structure next to Way's house. Way steps out of the boat and onto the solid ground of the dock. The land feels steady and unmoving beneath his feet after a long day on the rocking water. He walks back and forth a few times, reacquainting himself with the feeling of the earth. His first task is to take care of Lee. He untethers the bird and carries him to his shelter. He makes sure the bird has fresh water and a small portion of fish. He gives Lee a final, affectionate stroke. "Rest well, old friend," he says softly. "You have earned it." Next, he begins to unload his catch. He carries the basket of smaller fish and the basket of crabs up to his house. They are heavy, a satisfying weight that speaks of a successful day. The door to his house opens, and his wife, May, stands there, her face illuminated by the warm lamplight from within. Her hair is grey, and her face is lined with the same love and wisdom as his own. She smiles, a gentle, welcoming smile. "You are back," she says, her voice full of warmth. "I am back," he replies. It is the same exchange they have had thousands of times, yet it is always meaningful. It is a confirmation of safety, of return, of the continuity of their life together. She helps him with the baskets, her movements as practiced and efficient as his own. They work together in a comfortable silence, a partnership that has been polished and perfected over a lifetime. They take the fish and crabs to a cleaning area behind the house. May brings a lamp, and in its gentle glow, they begin the final task of the day. Wei cleans the fish with his sharp knife, his hands moving with speed and precision. May prepares the crabs, her own knowledge of the river's bounty just as deep as his. As they work, they talk. They speak of the small things of the day. He tells her about the beautiful sunset in the cove. He tells her about the encounter with young Bo and the gift of the great carp. She tells him about her day in the village, about a neighbor who had a new baby, about the price of vegetables at the market. Their conversation is like a gentle stream, flowing easily and naturally. It is the sound of two lives woven together so closely that they have become a single, beautiful fabric. Once the catch is cleaned, some is set aside for their own dinner. The rest is carefully packed in wet leaves, ready for May to take to the market in the morning. She is the one who handles the selling, her sharp mind and friendly nature making her a better bargainer than he is. With the work finally, truly done, they go inside their small, clean house. The smell of cooking rice and steaming fish soon fills the air. It is a simple meal, but after a long day of labor, it is the most delicious food in the world. They eat together at their small wooden table. They eat slowly, savoring the food and each other's company. There is no need for grand conversation now. Their shared presence is enough. After the meal, Wei sits on the porch, looking out at the dark river. The moon is high in the sky now, and the water shimmers. He feels a deep, bone-weary tiredness, but it is a good kind of tired. It is the feeling of a day well spent, of a purpose fulfilled. He thinks about the endless rhythm of his life, waking before the dawn, preparing the boat, journeying on the water, working with his partner, and returning home at night. It is a simple life, a hard life, but a deeply meaningful one. He is a fisherman on the Yangtze River. It is who he is. And as he sits in the peaceful quiet of the night, listening to the gentle lap of the water against the shore, he feels a profound and unshakable sense of peace. He is home. The last of the village lights begin to go out, one by one. A deep and profound quiet descends, broken only by the timeless chorus of the night creatures and the soft, rhythmic breathing of the great river. Wei sits on his porch, a final cup of tea warming his hands. The air is cool and clean. It carries the scent of the river, of damp earth, and of the wood smoke that still lingers from the evening's cooking fires. He breathes it in deeply. It is the scent of his life, the scent of home. Inside the house, May is tidying up, her movements soft and quiet. He can hear the gentle clink of a cup being put away, the soft sweeping of a broom on the wooden floor. These small, domestic sounds are a comfort to him. They are the sounds of a shared life, of a safe harbor at the end of a long day. He looks out at the river, a wide, shimmering ribbon of silver under the high moon. It looks so peaceful now, so calm. It is hard to believe that this same water can be a raging, powerful force in the spring floods. He knows its many moods, its gentleness, and its fury. He respects them all. He thinks about his boat, tied securely to the dock. It is resting just as he is. Tomorrow they will go out again. They will continue their long conversation with the river. He feels a deep affection for the simple wooden vessel. It is his companion, his partner, his freedom. His body is tired, but his mind is at peace. The events of the day have settled within him, the beauty of the sunrise, the satisfaction of the catch, the warmth of the shared meal. These are the simple, profound treasures of his existence. He does not need more. May comes out onto the porch and sits in the chair beside him. She does not speak, but her presence is a comfort. They sit together in the peaceful darkness, watching the moonlight on the water. They have shared countless evenings just like this one. Their silence is full of understanding and love. He thinks about the future. He knows he is getting older. His body is not as strong as it once was. There will come a day when he can no longer take the boat out onto the river. The thought does not make him sad. It is the natural way of things. It is a part of the river's great cycle. He hopes that one of his grandsons will want to learn the ways of the river. He would like to pass on his knowledge, his stories, his deep respect for this life. He wants the legacy to continue, but he knows he cannot force it. The river chooses its own people. For now, he is grateful for today. He is grateful for his health, for his wife, for his home. He is grateful for the river, his great, lifelong teacher. It has taught him patience, it has taught him resilience, and it has taught him humility. He finishes his tea. The cup is empty. The day is complete. He feels a deep, pervasive sleepiness begin to creep over him. It is a welcome feeling, a signal from his body that it is time to rest, to heal, to dream. He and May stand up. They go inside, closing the wooden door against the night. The small house is a sanctuary of warmth and peace. They prepare for bed, their movements slow and synchronized by a lifetime of habit. As Wei lies down on his simple mat, he can still hear the gentle lapping sound of the river through the thin wooden walls of his house. It is the last sound he hears as he drifts off to sleep. It is a lullaby that has soothed him every night of his life. He sleeps deeply without dreaming. It is the profound, restorative sleep of a man who has worked hard, lived simply, and is at peace with himself and with the world. He has given his day to the river, and now the river cradles him in its great, quiet arms as he rests. The river rests, but it never truly sleeps. And just like the river, our stories continue to flow, waiting for our return.